Hello everyone, welcome back to Too Sweet MTG and welcome to another Commander deck tech. In today's episode, we're going to be looking at Gishath, Sun's Avatar. It is a whopping 5 red, green and a white for a 7/6 legendary creature dinosaur avatar with Vigilance, Trample and Haste. It also has, whenever Gishath, Sun's Avatar deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of your library. Put any number of dinosaur creature cards from among them onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Gishath is by far the most popular dinosaur commander out there, and it's very easy to see why. It's the biggest, baddest dino around. But in this deck, it will not be alone. It's going to be leading an army of dinosaur friends. And when we're talking dinosaurs, we're talking truly massive dinosaurs. To get them all out, we're going to be playing an ungodly amount of ramp in this deck. This is so we can cast Gishath and friends as early as possible. But to go along with the mana ramp, we're also going to be playing a bunch of effects that cheat creatures into play. What the cheat effects and the ramp combine to do is give us a deck that's easily able to put multiple massive creatures into play turn after turn. When you're just dropping 7/7s and 8/8s for fun, it becomes so easy to just smash your opponent's life totals. And we really do want to play a lot of dinos in this deck, not just so that we can put them into play with Gishath, but also they'll help synergize with each other to help buff each other up. A quick note on how this video will work. We'll be giving you all the sections that make up the deck, and a bunch of cards for you to choose from to truly make the deck your own. Any card we mention will be down in the description below. While you're there, please consider giving the video a like if you found it helpful. Our first section for today is our cheat effects. For me, this is honestly what takes us from being a big stompy monster deck to something that your playgroup will be really scared of. First up, we have Ghalta, Stampede, Tyrant. Outside of Gishath, this is probably one of the best ways to cheat things into play, as all it has to do is enter the battlefield for us to dump the rest of our hand into play. Importantly, because it is an ETB effect, it works if we cheat Ghalta into play itself. For some more effects that let us put things into play from our hand, we have Elvish Piper, Quicksilver Amulet, and Belbe's Portal. These are just fantastic at cheating on the expensive mana costs for some of our big dinos. We then have Court of Bounty. Not only does this bring the Monarch for a bit of bonus card advantage, but if we keep it with our massive board of dino beef, we can just be slamming big dinosaurs into play every turn. Next we have Pantlaza, Sun Favored. Another great way of abusing the big dinos, because as soon as it or another comes into play, we get to look through our deck for another dinosaur with mana value equal or lesser to the dinosaur we put into play's toughness. Again, this is an ETB effect, not a cast effect, and we get to do it once every turn for as long as Pantlaza is in play. It's just fantastic repeatable advantage. Keeping it on the dino theme, we have the two Etalis in Etali Primal Storm and Etali Primal Conqueror. These flip things from the top of decks and then let us cast them, meaning we get the best things from our decks and our opponents as well. We then have Hunting Velociraptor. While not directly cheating things onto the battlefield, making all of our obscenely huge dinos only cost 3 mana is a hell of a bargain. And then we have some enchantments like Descendants Path and Lurking Predators that let us flip the top of our library, and if it's a creature, we just get to put it straight into play. Next up is our ramp section. This is so important to the deck, as we have an 8 mana commander and then a bunch of expensive creatures we want to be casting as well. First up we have some dinos like Topiary Stomper. This is basically a Rampant Growth stapled onto a 4/4 dino. We then have Ranging Raptors, which goes and fetches a land whenever it takes damage. You then have Killarney's Caller and Otepec Huntmaster. Fantastic early creatures that just help make our dinos cheaper to cast. And then we have every Rampant Growth effect under the Immortal Sun. And, by God, we are going to be running a lot of them. Obviously the 2 mana ones are the best, but in this deck we have room for the 3 mana ones and a couple of the 4 mana ones as well. As it is still a 3-colour deck, I would prioritise the ones that get non-basic lands, as it means you can get any dual lands that you're running in the deck. So things specifically like Farseek, Nature's Law, 3 Visits and Skyshroud Claim. To then kick things up a notch, we have some mana doublers. We have things like Doubling Cube, Mirari's Wake and Zendikar Resurgent. These are basically cheat into play cards, as they'll make us so much mana that we'll be able to have some really silly turns. Next up is our card draw section, and what's the point of having mana and ways of cheating things into play if our hand isn't nice and stacked? First up we have some dinosaurs that draw us some cards. Runic Armasaur is a cool little hate piece that'll draw us a decent amount of cards over the course of a game. Then once our board is up and running, Curious Altasaur will easily refill our hand. Ripjaw Raptor is a great blocker or attacker that'll draw us a couple of cards. Then Regal Behemoth is another Monarch card that can also be a mana doubler, a fantastic card to cheat into play on an explosive turn. And then finally, Earthshaker Dreadmaw is the Dreadmaw we deserve. That is great to bring into play at the end of the game to draw us a bunch of cards to push us over the edge. To go along with those big dinos, we also have Up the Beanstalk and Garruk's Uprising, which will draw us a bunch of cards when those big dinosaurs come into play. When they are in play, we have cards like Garruk Primal Hunter, Return of the Wild Speaker, and Rishkar's Expertise. These draw us cards equal to the highest power of creature that we control, which, believe me, will be a hell of a lot. Next up is our interaction section, and like with all decks, you want to start at 8 bits and then go up from there the more spiky that your playgroup is. First up, we have some very big dinos with Kogla and Yadaro and Apex Altasaur. These are both great massive dino punches to take out an opponent's creature. We then have Wakening Sun's Avatar, which while it doesn't blow up non-dinos when we cheat it into play, it will still be a 7/7. But again, with all the ramp that we're running, this will still be really easy to cast for that board wipe goodness. We then have Tranquil Frillback and Thrashing Brontodon. Fantastic ways of taking out some pesky artifacts or enchantments. And then in a similar vein, we also have Scion of Calamity, a great 5-drop that when it attacks makes a bunch more 5-drops that can blow up some of our opponent's artifacts and enchantments. You then have some of the best instant speed removal available to you. There's really so many good options here that you can run what suits your budget best. We even then have a bunch of great cheap board wipes in these colours as well. Again, run what works for you. Next up, we have a little bit of protection. We have an 8-drop commander, we really don't want it dying, so these cards will help keep our game plan on the rails. The first part of that is getting our creatures into play in the first place, and Rhythm of the Wild, stopping our creatures from being countered, will be great at annoying those blue mages. The added counter to our commander or haste to our other creatures will be really nice as well. We then have some awesome instants that can protect our whole board. Boris Charm, Heroic Intervention, and Flawless Maneuver will all help keep our board around, ready to swing at our opponents. And then we have the classics in Lightning Grease and Swiftfoot Boots, great at getting our dinos into the red zone straight away, and also giving them protection from any targeted removal. Okay, we have the base of the deck, let's go over some dedicated ways of us winning the game. First up, we have a bunch of really big, really scary dinos that are great for us to ramp into or cheat into play. Regisaur Alpha gives all of our dinosaurs haste, and also comes with a 3/3 token. Dinosaurs on a spaceship buffs our whole team while also giving them vigilance and trample. Rampaging Brontodon with all the ramp will be insanely huge in this deck when it starts swinging in. Zatulpa Primal Dawn is a huge flying dino death machine. And then Zakama Primal Calamity and Ghalta Primal Hunger are some of the few dinos out there that are bigger than our commander. You then have Verdant Sun's Avatar, which is a really solid way of gaining us life and pulling us back into a game. And then you have Ghalta and Mavrin, which can either make a massive dino token or a massive amount of vampire tokens with lifelink, whatever takes your fancy. To help buff up our dinosaurs, you have a card like Goring Ceratops. Giving our whole board double strike is super scary, as it kills our opponents twice as quickly and means we can dig twice as deeply with Gishath. In a similar vein, you also have Unnatural Growth. This is a really scary card, as it doubles up the stats of our creatures at the beginning of each combat, making our already massive board state twice as big. And then you have a cheeky little Berserk. If you've already hit an opponent with Gishath, this could take him out of the game completely out of nowhere. And yes, while we would have to recast our commander again, we have a lot of ramp, it has haste, and also if Gishath connects with this, we'll reveal 14 cards and put all dinosaurs from among them into play. That kinda seems worth it for me. And then when we're cheating our big things onto the battlefield, you also have a card like Warmstorm Surge. This is great at throwing around a ton of damage to our opponents. And then finally, we have some Polyraptor combos. If you combine the Polyraptor with an effect like Marauding Raptor that deals damage to a creature when it comes into play, you'll make infinite Polyraptors. It's Commander, live the dream. Rounding off the deck with some utility lands, and we have a couple of decent options that we can look at. First up, we have Rogue's Passage, a great land that can let Gishath get through unblocked, so we can rip the full 7 off the top of our library in search of some dinosaurs. Then we have Sunhome Fortress of the Legion and Kessig Wolfrun. These both let Gishath hit for more damage, letting us dig even deeper. You then have Command Beacon, which is a great way of reducing the command attacks of Gishath one time, or even letting us cheat into play with some of our cheat effects. Then lastly, you have the Hideaway lands. Mosswarp Bridge and Spinerock Knoll are going to be super easy to trigger with this deck, as we'll easily have 10 or more power in play, and easily be dealing 7 or more damage in a turn. Right, thank you all very much for watching. Do make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and do let me know down in the comments if there's any other commanders that you have out there that you would like me to take a look at, and I'll check them out. But until next time, I'll see you all soon. Goodbye.